sorties, brawlers, zoners, blocks. Long ago, the four regions lived together in harmony, until everything changed when the Steve Nation attacked. Only the GOAT, master of all four regions, could stop him, but when the world needed him most, he vanished. A couple years passed and my community and I found the new GOAT, a cloud player named Spargo, and although his highlights are great, he still has a lot to learn before he's ready to save anyone. But I believe Spargo can save the world.
Previously on Smash Bros.
So ever since Smash Ultimate's competitive inception, there have been dominant regions at play, whether that be the West Coast prominence in early Ultimate, Tri-State and their elite tournament threats, or Mexico and the insane impact that their prodigies have always had ruling the top of the rankings. And something that you may notice is that all of the aforementioned regions were all sub-regions within North America. Now, although for many years the terms North America and Greatest Region were pretty much hand in hand, that is no longer the case anymore. If we flash back to early Ultimate in 2019, we can see that 9 out of the 10 players on the initial PGR, or 90%, were from North America. And although the most recent rankings have not concluded at the time of recording this video, we can see that the previous most recent ranking had 5 out of the 10 players being from North America. And if we go based on my prediction for what I foresee the newest top 10 being in this upcoming ranking, I predicted only 4 of the top 10 being North American players, which is a huge drop. So this leads to the major question, who is taking up all the rest of these slots?
All right. Now, I hate to say it, it kind of looks like Tweak is done.
This dare, and he does no. Weird knockback off the side, but nevertheless, the back air will seal it. Small fist bump from Mia. Zamba falling into the shark infest.
What the? Legs for days, man. That's my boy. What the? Legs for days. What? Whoa.
Are you kidding me? You gotta call it out. Okay.
It's a Sunday, bro. I don't know who he prayed to for that miracle, but it has been answered. Dora Migi is your Level Up Expo 2025 champion.
It's true. Japan has been dominating Smash Ultimate, not only in their home scene, but even over here and overseas in general. When going back to this top 10 statistic I referenced earlier, it would seem that on this most recent ranking yet to release, there will be around 6 out of the 10 as Japanese players, which is absolutely ludicrous, especially when considering that the country has a severe size and population disadvantage to the entire continent of North America, and yet they severely outnumber the North Americans. So why is this? Before I answer that, I would love if you would subscribe to the channel, as it would mean a ton to me, and I work super hard on these videos. Also, do you guys like the new camera? I just got a brand new camera, so this should look pretty cool. That's all. If you guys have done that, that makes me very happy, and let's just get right back to it. Before Japan was known as the uncontested #1 region, it still had a very, very strong reputation over here in the West, and not necessarily as the #1 like North America was at that time, but more so as the region with the highest average player base level. You see, people would kind of regard the mid-level players in Japan as a different breed completely and far greater than the average player that you would play in a bracket in North America. And many people were kind of speculating whether this was true or not, but we would kind of go on to see a lot of proof of this being true, especially with players often traveling overseas to Japan, especially in early Ultimate. They would kind of learn whether the easy way or the hard way. MK Leo may have been one of them, because in early Ultimate, MK Leo actually traveled over to Japan when he was initially debuting his new character, Joker. Many people suspected that at the time this was because he didn't want to give any free tournament wins to his North American rivals. So he attended Umegawara Japan Major and he decided, I'm going to debut my new character Joker and not give any free wins to my North American buddies. But he was defeated anyway, actually getting his worst placement at the time, 33rd. And this just kind of goes to show that everybody in Japan, even back then, was a harsh tournament threat and not somebody that could be overlooked at all. So what is it that makes Japan as a region so strong, and what can North America do in order to attempt to replicate the success? Now, we cannot talk about Japan as a region within Smash without talking about Japan as a region itself. And Japan actually gains a lot of unique advantages throughout its small size geographically. For example, the proximity from one player to another. There are many Japanese tournaments that will not necessarily be considered a super huge tournament, but they will have many top level players in attendance. And the reason for this is because of the public transportation. People can just take the train from pretty much anywhere and be able to reach many different people because the country isn't that big and the public transport is very good, so anybody can really reach each other within a day, right? However, in the United States, I live in the West Coast. Let's say somebody like Light and I want to play each other in tournament. He lives on the East Coast. So if we want to play each other, we both have to spend hundreds of dollars for a flight, hundreds more for a hotel, and this also takes a lot of travel time. But you will often see Japanese players go to tournaments like Sumabato quite frequently because they're held very frequently and people can travel there very easily because of the public transport. And this is a big advantage that Japan has. That's a lot harder for a country like the United States, for example, because of the just sheer size. And, you know, Japan is a much smaller country. People even will often joke over here in North America that in Japan there's like a super major or a major every single week, you know?
Where are we gonna go from here, EE? What could be next? Is this really the swan song for Ultimate? Are we really done? Is there nothing else after this? Guys, it's Japan. There's always something next. There's a freaking super major next week. Get the hell out of here, bro. I'll see you guys later. And for the Kulon stream. Oh my God, these niggas just don't stop.
You just don't know what's gonna happen out there. You would definitely see certain people in the rankings where it was like they would have a whole section that was just Sumabato, because it would happen so frequently. And even if we disregard this offline practice buff that they get from the small proximity, you also have to keep in mind the online practice buff that they get. Because if we think about it, the smaller that the space is that people are going to be connecting with each other online, the smaller that the internet has to try to stretch that connection, and thus it's going to be a lot less laggy and a lot better connection for two people playing with each other because the distance isn't as long. If I'm trying to play with Light on Wi-Fi, the amount of distance from the West Coast to the East Coast is crazy. But the amount of distance from like Hokkaido to, you know, even the farthest point of the bottom of Japan is really not that far, right? And in comparison to the United States, you are going to find somebody even just 2 states away that's going to be a very laggy connection. And this inhibits a lot of Japanese players to kind of become prodigies. I think that's why we see so many young prodigal talents in Japan. I think this is the reason that we actually go on to see so many prodigies come out of Japan, and it's because of how accessible Wi-Fi and online Smash is over there. They even have their own online ranking ladder called Smashmate or Sumameito. This is a tool that people in Japan can use to essentially play like an online rank system that we don't even have over here in the US, and from what I'm aware they don't have it in Europe or really anywhere in the West either. But in Japan this is a super popular, you know, rank system, and many of the greatest Japanese players have gotten their start from this system. Players like Mark, the Yoshi, players like Akola, Mia, Doramigi, all these prodigies that have risen up, this is because of Smashmate. And it makes sense when you think about it, because even think of the rise of our prodigies. Think of like Spargo, right? Spargo would have never really risen if it weren't for online Smash and how big that was during the quarantine time. A lot of people, when Spargo was first making his rise during quarantine, thought, okay, but what's this kid really going to do when it comes to offline? And then Ultimate Summit 3 came around and he got top 3 at the event. And then just, 3-4 years later, he's ranked 1 in the world. So online is the way that you get these young prodigies to rise up. And with Japanese Smash having such a strong online scene, I think it really, really helps these young players to be fostered into the system where you can have a lot of prodigies kind of growing and thriving in Smash Japan. Now that we know what Japan's distinct advantages are in Smash, is there anything that we can do to catch up? Now, to be real with you, I think that Japan definitely has a lot of really good things going for it. For one, just the fact that Japan's top talent is all so young. Like when thinking about their top 4, the oldest of the top 4 is Hurt, who's 22 years old, right? And then even their rank 1 player is 16 years old. They have such a young crop of talent, which means that they will kind of be around on top for a long time. They have many years left in their career. When looking at like North America, all of our like kind of goats, like Tweak, like MK Leo, like, Mars, Light, Louis Money, Peanut, a lot of our very, very strongest players are a little bit older, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Even like Sonics or somebody like that. They're all a little bit, older than a lot of their Japanese counterparts. And I think that means that right now, I think they're still quite strong. Like, I don't even think there's necessarily like a blowout in the race. I think we could definitely see North American talent catch up or even surpass Japanese talent in the coming year. But what's tough is that, even Tweak retired for a little bit, right? I wouldn't be surprised if we see more players retire who are maybe from that previous Smash 4 generation, meaning that who does North America really have moving forward? It's not nearly as many prodigies, not to say it's not any of them. We have Spargo, we have like Zomba, we have Syrup, right? There's probably more that I'm not even naming, but we definitely do have some. But I think Japan, just because of the systems I mentioned earlier, has way more. And thus, I think it's going to be a way longer lasting region going into the future of this game and going into the next game, to be honest. I do think that despite all of the setbacks that I mentioned thus far, North America has been doing a really great job of fighting back and keeping the competition close between us and Japanese top players. Because if you think about it, a lot of the top players in Japan, when they come to America, they have some of their worst placements. You saw Mia and Akola both get 33rd place when they went to Level Up Expo. And you even saw, Spargo win an installment in the biggest tournament series in Japan, Kaguribi. And on top of that, in tournaments like Kulan, you would see only 2 Japanese players in the top 8. It was in Japan. The tournament was in Japan, and only 2 Japanese players made the top 8. Like, just certain things like that, I think are signs that, there's definitely life there, and the competition is still super tight. I don't want to make it sound like it's not close at all. So I'm very, 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 very interested to see how things go. Even just Afterburner that concluded just this previous weekend, we would go on to see Mia get defeated by both Peanut and Louis Money. Like, that's crazy. Even Louis Money took a set off of Carmelo, and it was kind of soul crushing to watch him lose in the reset. But just the fact that these North American players are really kind of fighting back shows that going into 2026, I think it is going to be a much closer race than people realize between the North Americans and the Japanese top talent. And there's definitely going to be upsets, there's definitely going to be rivalries, and there's going to be massive battles in grand finals to see who will take home the championships. So I guess my question to you is, will you be there to watch it?
Hear me, ditto them right now.
I did that. I got 3 stock twice.
Well, you won't get 3 stock the third time.
Good point.
There's no way.
All right, if I get 3 stock, I'm going to kill everyone in this venue. All right, thank you for it. Thank you for joining us.